Hi there guys, welcome to Daniel Talks Tech. This video I want to do an introductory video about myself, about how did I got to a cloud engineer role with no IT background, and what are some of the tips and tricks that I use along the way. And this video comes because I get lots of people on LinkedIn telling me like I want to start in IT, I want to, like progress, move to cloud. I'm already in IT, but I want to move to cloud. So what should I do, or like what are the things that I need to do in order to, jumpstart it, or give myself a better opportunity out there. So I feel like I want to share my experience and my knowledge of it. So I for you to understand, how I approach the problem, how I dealt with it, and so on, right? So, also, I want to mention that this video is one of my first videos out there. So obviously, there's going to be sometimes when I will repeat myself. There will be some times when there will be pauses where I search for words and so on. And I feel that the reason why I'm doing this is that, and I'm posting it like I want to post it like this raw, is because I want to make it feel like a conversation that I have with like somebody across the table, right? So I want to make it feel like more personal, and I want to just like provide value to the community out there, to people that are looking for advice. So I don't feel like it's necessary about how flashy it is, how good the technique is, or how good the clipping and all the gifs I'll be using and stuff. Like I feel like that will come with time. That this is something that it's a skill that you can learn and pick up on. But at the moment, I just want to share my insights of it, right? So I started in 2020, April, more exact, 1st of April. I remember I was a taxi driver in London for a year and a half, and I knew I wanted more for myself, so I decided to start in IT. And I said to myself, like I remember it was 1st of January 2020, and I said to myself like I will start studying IT, and from by the end of the year, I want to get a role. So I gave myself like a year to do it. But at that time, I didn't really take it that serious. So, like it became to the point where in March I didn't really did much studies. I didn't really analyze a lot. So, I just I just didn't took it that serious. So when March hit, COVID hit like so bad that UK government declared pandemic and lockdown. So I remember it was the last week of March. So I said to myself, like if I am not able to go out there and do my taxi work and be able to make money for to sustain myself, and I'm forced to stay indoors, then like I feel like this is the moment for me to drop everything and start serious studying, to put myself to get to where I want to be by the end of the year, right? To get an IT role. So I felt that that this was the right time. So I took myself like a week of like doing nothing. I remember like a week I've just pretty much did nothing, just relaxed and watched Netflix and stayed at home. And then when 1st of April hit, I was like, this is it. This is it. Every day I have to be consistent. I have to get out there and work in terms of like studying, like watching YouTube videos and so on and so on. But I didn't know how to start. So, like prior to that, I asked one of my friends, which was an IT at the time, and it's also one of my mentor, one of the people that really like supported me from the beginning. And I feel like it's very, very important to have somebody that supports you no matter what, right? So I remember I asked him, like, I want to start an IT. What should I do? Like, what should I study? How can I get there? Like, how do I get to a point where, like I get a job in IT, right? And he was telling me about AWS, and he was telling me how the cloud is booming and how this is going to be the future and so on. So I said to him like I'm not really too sure about it, but I'll follow your advice. I believe in you. Like I see he's a successful IT engineer. So I said to myself, if he made it, then his advice must be good. So so I listened to him. So I went out there and got myself an A Cloud Guru account. So I started to look into AWS Solution Architect. So as I said, I remember at that time I had no IT background. So while I was, like, no, I think I also want to share some of the reasons why I chose IT. Also, is that not only that my friend influenced me to do that, but I also like there were a few reasons that I thought to myself, and these are more logical reasons, right? First, I was doing jobs, like all across my 20s, jobs that they were like not very high skilled. So I used to like top those jobs pretty quick, like learn how to do it better, more efficient, faster, and so on. So I always like hit the ceiling, like got to a point where I was doing the job so good that, like there was not much I can do. So I just felt bored about it, right? So when I thought about like my next like a career that I want, I just thought to find a job that, I will never hit the ceiling. So when we talk about IT, there's no such thing as being the best in IT. There's really like nobody who says, I know everything and stuff. I feel like IT is a field like medicine, right? It's something that you have to study every day. You have to stay on top of all the news, stay on top of all the new discoveries and so on, because this is like the thing that keeps you engaged all the time, keeps you, at edge to try to be better every day, to try to learn more, and to try. And I feel like the more you know, the better you get, right? So that was one of the reasons. Another one of the reason was that because my job got, sort of canceled, right? I wanted for the future this not to happen. And I said to myself, like, if I'm choosing a career, I want something that will not be obsolete within 10, 15, 20 years, right? So at the time, there were also some rumors about this, like driverless cars and driverless taxis and stuff like that. So I thought to myself, like, maybe this is not like the job that I want for my future. So I decided to change to IT because I feel like IT will be the future no matter what. Like there's always gonna be needed for skills in IT. And I think as a prime example is the lack of skills shortage that we are facing year by year going into the future. And I feel technology advances so quick that humans cannot really keep up with it. So definitely like there will be in the future needed for IT engineers. So that's why also I'm urging more people to kind of encourage them to join because it's something that will be very good in the future. So I also wanted to have like a decent. Another reason was like I wanted to have a decent living. I wanted to be able to afford basic stuff. It's like I never dreamt of like like being super rich or something. I just wanted to be happy, but I understand happiness is kind of like being able to afford basic stuff, being able to kind of like lead like a calm life, a life where you don't worry about tomorrow and stuff and so on. So I feel like IT would provide me this. And also another thing that I wanted to get out of this was to be able to work and travel at the same time. I like traveling, so I feel like IT, there are jobs in IT that you can do remote, so you're able to kind of like live anywhere else and still be able to do your job. All you need is just like a laptop and stuff. So I felt like it was hitting all these 4 points IT. So I just kind of be like, with my friend's advice and this personal reasons, I felt like this is it, right? So I got myself out there and I looked. I remember like started with AWS, and as I said, like AWS was recommended because it was the biggest cloud, and so on and so on. So I went and studied for like 4 months straight. I remember I went through the solution architect course on a cloud guru, and I have Googled every term that I didn't understand. And I remember there were lots of them, right? Because remember, like I didn't know what's an IP, I didn't know what's a network and so on. So I remember Googling pretty much everything, right? So it took me about 4 months. And I remember like the day when I took my AWS exam, I was so scared. And at that time, it was like a proctored exam, so you stayed at home and and stuff. And I remember my internet went down. It was a disaster. It was total. It was like it was really bad, and I feel like it was bad not because I didn't really had the knowledge and stuff to pass the exam, which I'm gonna get into that too. But I feel like I just didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what's the format. I didn't understand much, right? So, but once I remember, once I submitted the exam, I was like, I knew I'm gonna fail. I hoped I wouldn't, but I knew I'm gonna fail. And I feel like the fact that I failed was one of the best things that happened to me. You know why? Because I took it more serious. I knew about I knew that I had lacks in knowledge and experience. So I kind of like that made me like to take it more serious. That made me more prepared. That made me to revise everything again, and so on and so on, right? So when I failed, I failed by very little, by like few questions and so on. But I was not necessarily very angry because I knew that this is a thing that you just have to keep going, right? No matter how many fails you get. I feel like IT is about being persistent. Like no matter how many times you fail, just keep going, because you might not succeed today, tomorrow, next week, but at some point you will. And I feel like this is one of the skills that you really really need to grasp if you want to get into it is not about being super smart. It's not about being super gifted. It's about consistency. Is about learning every day. Is about being persistent and just keep trying, trial and error all the time. So I, like as I said, I failed my exam, and you know, um, I took another 2 3 weeks. I studied again, and then I passed it, right? And I was so happy. I remember when I passed it, I was so happy. And now looking back to the time, because I got recommended to start straight with solution architect, because cloud practitioner kind of englobates already the solution architect exam. So like I felt at that time that I should not go to the cloud practitioner because it's too simple of certification, and go straight to solution architect. Now looking back to it, I kind of recommend people take cloud practitioner first, because I feel like it gives you that edge, that information that you need. Is not like super detailed, but it gives you enough information about AWS services, about how it works and stuff. So I feel like you should definitely go for that. And when you pass it, it gives you that little win, that win that you're looking for to like for you, it gives you that courage that some stuff, and that you can do this and so on. So it puts you onto a better position to succeed when you go for the solution architect. That's my personal thought. So, but obviously, like as I said, these advices are based on my experience and based on what I think. If they fit within your experience or within your mindset and stuff, adapt them. If they don't, then just don't worry about it. So I feel like I should have gone for the cloud practitioner one. But anyway, so I went to the solution architect. I got it, and then I was like, I heard many people saying that the solution architect associate, the AWS developer, and sysops, they all kind of like overlap, right? So there are lots of knowledge that they overlap. And at that time, I said, you know what, like, because I studied a bit of networking, a bit of Linux, and stuff, because I had to, because you're talking about starting a server in AWS. You talk about SSH keys. You talk about a bit of networking, subnets, security group knuckles and stuff. So like I definitely needed to learn a bit of like the networking part. So I thought that the best thing I can do is to go for the sysops, right, exam. So because I did already like solution architect, and all the information was so fresh, like I thought that this is the best thing next to it. So, and it was, right? Like it took me, I think, a month and a half or something like that to get the solution architect, the sysops one. So once I've done that and I had two certifications under my belt, I started looking for a job, right? Because I was like, I need to kind of like, I need to put myself into a position where I get to practice all the skills that I got, right? Because until that time, I did a lot of like learning and a lot of like labs, like as you know, A Cloud Guru is a platform where they have courses, but they also have labs. And I did lots of labs because I felt like, you know, I needed to get a bit of experience, to get a bit of, even if it was like not real world experience, it was good enough, right? So, and I remember one of the things that helped me a lot was consistency. The fact that I was doing something every day, the fact that I never took a day off when I was studying and stuff. Like every day I used to do studies. Some days like they were like 10 hours, some days it was like 4 hours, but every day was something. So consistency I feel was key. And again, perseverance, like, persistence, basically to go through your errors and try again tomorrow and try again tomorrow and so on and so on. And I remember, like, I did ask a bit of advice from my friends. I did ask a bit of like help from them when it came to certain errors and certain things. But at the end of the day, I was the one that solved most of them. And I felt like the fact that you deal with all this makes you smarter, makes you better in terms of like how am I approaching this, how am I going to do this, and so on. So I feel like it gives you some skills that they're going to be very useful when you go to your first job and stuff. So yeah, once I got that, as I said, like, I started looking for a job. And another thing that I remember from the beginning, knowing how good it is to have a network of people that does this, and like they can share valuable information about what it means to work as a solution architect, or what it means to to be there. So I started networking on LinkedIn from the beginning. I felt like it was putting me into the right position, because sometimes it's not necessarily like what you know is who you know too. Like I like to think that the network of people that you have and the people you surround yourself with, they make you better and they make you stronger and they make you wiser. Because clearly, like, if I had on my LinkedIn network like lots of AWS solution architects and lots of people in IT interested in the learning and so on, like they would share all this valuable information. They will share articles about AWS. They will share, like free resources and learning and stuff. And this is something that I was looking for. And I've learned a lot from the network. And I grew it, to, like I remember when I started 2 years ago, it was like I had like little, like 200 connections or something like that, and I grew it to today I have like 5,500 or something like that. So I grew it to a point where I knew that, if I surround myself with the people that does this, the people that succeeded at this, that they are already doing the job, and the people that also want to get there, I'll put myself into a better position. And I started like adding lots of AWS people, lots of recruiters, in order to find myself a job. And when I applied to the jobs and stuff, it was very hard. Like I remember it's like it must be over 300, 400, 500 jobs that I applied, and pretty much nobody got back to me. Like it was really bad. It was really demoralizing in a way. But I just kept going. I just knew that one day somebody will give me a chance. And I also know that I needed to put myself to the position where when somebody gives me a chance, I can do that job. And I can even if I can't do that job, I'm learning, I want to be there, I'm going to put all my time into this and so on and so on, right? So I feel like my mentality helped me a lot into this, because clearly I didn't have IT experience, and clearly, there were like things that I didn't know. But due to this, I realized that if I keep doing this, so someday somebody will come and say, you know what, like I see something in you, and I'm gonna take you in. So and that day happened, right? Because I approach few people on LinkedIn, and they were like, I'm gonna spread your message. I have a network of professionals and so on and so on. So I reached this woman, and I'm very grateful to her because she helped me, and she posted my message and saying, "Hi, I'm Daniel. I'm new to IT. I studied this and I studied that, and I'm looking for a job." Right. So, and one security company owner saw the message and saw my story, and he was quite intrigued about it, and he was like, you know what? He texted me and he said, I have a job in security. It's an entry level job, but it's not AWS, but it's security if you wanted to try and if you wanted to do. And I said, yeah, sure. I mean, another passion of mine before I started was security. Like at that time, I was thinking like I could either do security, I could either do cloud. It's because security, I feel like the more we go into the future, security will be much, much important. And like, you hear all about this, web attacks, phishing schemes, and so on and so on, like where it became to a point where you have to be more secure on the internet, and I felt like having security knowledge will put you in a good position. So it was a bit of a kind of passion, right? I would say. So I, I knew it's not AWS, but it was security. But I was like, I still like security. I still like to do this. So I said, sure, I'll come to the interview, because obviously the job was not offered to me. It was like the interview, and that's all I needed. I needed one chance, right? And I remember like I went to the interview, and there was this guy, like really, really smart guy. And he was like asking me these questions and stuff. And some of them I knew how to answer, some of them I didn't, clearly. And I think one thing that helped me, I was upfront with the things that I didn't know, and I was upfront with the things that I need to work on, and I'm gonna learn better and stuff. And I remember like at some point he asked me like, what would you do if I reject you? And I said, I will go back and I will do the same thing that I'm doing every day, learning, studying, trying to find, an opportunity. And I don't know if it's going to be this or some other job, but whenever somebody will choose me and whenever somebody will give me the opportunity, I'm going to prove them that this is worth it. I'm going to prove them that this is something that, they made a good decision, right? Because I knew I was determined to work hard and to prove to those people that gave me the confidence. In the end, they end up hiring me, and it was very good. I learned it. I remember in that job I stayed for like 7 months, and I'll explain why. I've learned a lot about networking. I learned a lot about security, and I feel like it was quite introductory and quite good enough for me in order to put myself on a better position, because now I was dealing with like some VMware machines, and I was dealing with virtual servers, and I was dealing with like networking and different type of services. And with some help from the colleagues there and stuff, I definitely like I definitely got to a position where I understood IT systems much better. And at the same time, I never gave up studying. At the same time, I always continues looking to improve. So I done, CCNA. I've done like Linux. I've done some Python, and I was doing like all this kind of like some security stuff. So while I was in that job, as I said, like I knew that certifications would be a good add-on to my profile. So I continue with that, because I believe like not necessarily you should, like fill your CV with certifications, but I feel that there should be a balance between getting certifications and getting, like work experience. And there's a big debate in the IT industry at the moment where people say like, it's not good to have too many certifications, or it's not good to have too much work experience without certificate. I feel that when I see somebody with many certifications, I feel like this guy is dedicated, this guy is motivated to learn stuff. That doesn't mean that he knows everything what's there, or that's a pro. Whatever, whenever somebody gets, like I had solution architect associate, but that doesn't mean that I was like an AWS expert or something. That means I had the knowledge, and I understood what's there. I feel like that's the point of a certification, to prove that you were committed to that, you have the knowledge, and you pass through an exam to prove that knowledge, right? So I feel like that's what a certification is. And most of the time, certification gets you through the door, but that doesn't mean that it lands you the job. So the job is where like you will get questions and you will get like a practical test, and that's where you prove yourself. But in order to get there, I feel like if you have certification, then no certification, I feel like that certification will give you an edge, right? So while I was there, I studied for CompTIA Network Plus. I studied for CompTIA Security Plus, because as I said, like I've done networking and security. And I remember at that time, like I had, surprisingly, I had somebody recommended me to AWS. And I was like, I was only 1 year in IT. It was like March 2021. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. Like, I'm 1 year in IT and somebody recommended me to AWS job. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna try it and I'm gonna see how it is. So, and I remember like I got to a first interview and there was I think there was this test that you take online and stuff, and it was some sort of like choices things and mixed with AWS like Amazon principles and some technical questions too. And I like inside me I knew I'm not ready for this. So and also I made the mistake of not preparing for the interview because I was thinking, like, well, first I know I don't have the skills to be there. I was honest to myself and I knew that I cannot pass an interview like that. And then I also didn't knew that, like to learn AWS principles and to use the star method and so on, right? So there were things that I found out after, but I feel like, for me it was good enough that they selected me and they looked at my profile and they were like, we want to interview this guy or something. So, but at that time, I knew I was honest to myself and I knew I don't stand a chance. And I said, whatever, I'm gonna go try it and stuff. And I didn't pass it, and it was okay. I understand that, it's sometimes it's good to be honest with yourself and think about yourself. Do I have the necessary skills in order to do this job? Am I good enough to do this job? So, and I knew the answer was no. So I said, no problem. I'm gonna just pull myself, work harder, and put myself to a better position. Maybe, next time I do it, maybe I do it better and stuff. So, at that time, another recruiter through LinkedIn, through the network that I built, through this kind of stuff, like I kept, I remember like I tried to do posts and I tried to do blogs and I tried to do stuff. And through this, some other recruiters saw me, right? And we started a conversation and they were like, I work for this company and I'm looking for they were a cloud support engineer. And I'm like, wow, cloud, bingo, this is what I'm looking for, right? But they were like, but we're not doing AWS. We have OpenStack. And I was like, what is OpenStack, So OpenStack is a technology that allows you to deploy a private cloud. Basically, you deploy your own services, you deploy your own stuff, and it's happening mostly on premise. It's mostly private type of cloud. So I was like, okay, I'm not too sure about this, but let's have a conversation. And the job entitled more about like dealing with metal servers, and it was a lot about Linux administration. It was a lot about scripting. It was I remember I was dealing with mass metal as a service, juju orchestrations and stuff. And I feel like it was a good step for me to take at that time. And so obviously like I quit my first job because I was doing purely security, and I wanted cloud. Obviously, like I was like, I didn't learn all this AWS in order to, not deal with it, right? So I definitely want a career into that. And I feel like this that had the cloud in the name and stuff, I was like, at least it gets me closer to it. So I got to that job, and again, I've learned quite a lot into that job. I feel like, the people were very nice. And I think one of the things that surprised me since I started in IT is the people. The people are genuinely trying to help you. They're really nice. Sure, you get this odd engineer sometimes where they were like, I don't have time to train you. I don't have time to tell you what's wrong or like stuff or whatever. But I feel like many people, they're very nice. They're very supporting. They're very engaging into, like, okay, let's see what's wrong. Or like, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? Can you try this? And so on. And I feel like that's another thing that contributed to my career, because I met nice people, I met really good people, and I feel like, it made me keep going. It made me kind of like push forward, right? So the second job, as I said, I was doing a lot about like Linux administration, OpenStack and stuff, and it was quite good, And also, I stayed this for like 6-7 months, right? Until I got an opportunity from an AWS partner to work remote, as a cloud engineer, and I was like, AWS, this is it, I'm sold. Like, and I remember I got to the interview, and it was not a very technical interview. It was more about like, my personality. It was more about my mindset. And I said to them, like, look, I've been doing AWS for a while, but I got into jobs that they were not dealing with AWS, but I still managed to learn. At that time, I passed the developer associate too because I wanted to just keep up with my studies. I just wanted to, like continue. So while I was while I was in the OpenStack one too, I learned more about Linux. I passed some more certifications and stuff. And when I got to the AWS, I said, this is it. This is the job that the role that I've been wanting to have and stuff. So, and I feel like one of the tip that I would suggest to people that they're looking to get into AWS and they got solution architect and stuff, wherever you're located, go to Google and search AWS partner, right, in your country. And then you're going to go to an AWS page where they're going to give you a list of AWS companies that are AWS partners, and search for openings at that company. Because if you learn AWS and you want to get into AWS, yeah, and you want to get a job with that, I feel like you should get to companies that they use AWS, right? Like, what's the point of like learning AWS and go and do security or so on? Right. So if you go and find a AWS partner within a company and search for the openings into that into that company, I feel like you will have quite good rate of success because there's still people that needs like AWS skills and needs all this kind of stuff, and I feel like it will put you in a good position to like be able to succeed because at the end of the day, this is where you want to get, right. One of the other things that I really wanted to share of like how did I did this, right? When I was looking for AWS jobs, like I kind of looked at a solution architect profile and I kind of look, okay, what kind of skills that this person has, and what are the things that I'm missing that I need to put into my resume, that I need to learn, that I need to add the skills to myself in order to like put myself to a position where I can pass an AWS solution architect interview and stuff like that. So I saw that Python, Linux, I saw like different different type of skills, CI/CD, and they were talking about like Jenkins or other type of technologies that will put you to a good position. So I said, you know what, like I cannot get to a low level into all these technologies because that will take like so much time, but I will study about them. I'll try to understand what is about and get to a high level type of things, so. And also when you get there, like you want to practice some interview questions, you want to practice some stuff because think about it, if you never had an interview or like you had very little interview experience, how are you going to manage to get the job, and stuff. Like, sure, you can be lucky and you can get it and stuff through your personality or through your mindset, but at the end of the day, you have to practice is something that is really important, right? So I feel like, if you haven't practiced much, just go out there and practice. Just talk to yourself. Try to explain yourself IT concepts into simpler words, right? I feel like it's about, like as you have somebody who's non-technical in front of you and try to explain to them what is that topic about and stuff. So, this is something that I feel like it really helped. It really helped, practicing, trying to network on LinkedIn, trying to find like all this to put yourself in a better position to succeed in an interview. Because when you get there, like you're not going to really have the experience. If you have the experience, it's a total different story. But if you're new to IT, then I feel like, this is the way to go. And like if you're already in IT and you try to switch to cloud, try to look at the skills that you have and try to somehow like learn some cloud that complements your skills. Don't try to like, you're a developer but you're trying to go sysops or you're, stuff like that. Like you want something that complements your already skills because that will put you to a better position. Because whenever you don't know some stuff and but it's related to what you were doing before. You understand it much easier, much quicker. You're able to grasp the concept much quicker because you already have some background knowledge. You already have some stuff that you tried. So I feel like this is something that people should also do. Try to find, okay, what am I good at? What are my skills? How am I gonna transit this to the cloud? So this is definitely another thing that I've did. Unfortunately, I cannot say that this was all structured, neither for me at the time and neither now, because like when you look at an IT job, it's a combination of things. You're not just talking about your skills, you're also talking about your personality, your mindset, the way you are as a person, as a human, because you will work with teams, you will work with people. You need to be able to be a good team player, you need to be able to be a good employee, in order to get there. Because I feel like lots of people kind of concentrate a lot on the technical side, but they don't concentrate a lot on the social side. And sometimes the social side is quite important because, it's technical stuff. You do with computers, you write the right piece of code, you write the right command, and the computer will do what you say. But when it comes to humans, when it comes to interacting with people, when it comes to working in a team, it's a different story, right? So you cannot do the same approach. So you have to learn also how to be reliable, how to be helpful, how to be put yourself out there in order to help. If you go with the mentality, but this is not my job, I don't know this, I'm not going to study this, or like I don't really want to go there, like this is not going to help. Because when you go into IT, there you're going to deal with many different things, because it's like there's going to be lots of system interconnected with each other and stuff. So in order to better understand and better see the bigger picture, you have to know a little bit of everything. So obviously having general knowledge and having like some sort of knowledge about different system really helps. So always try to see, what can I learn to complement my skills, what can I kind of like get into to take me to the next level. Because if you're always gonna stay to what you know and stuff, you're never gonna improve, because you always need to find better ways, quicker way, more efficient, and so on. So you know and I feel like talking with others, debate, kind of like express your ideas or ask other people what's their opinion. I feel like this is how you're going to grow. And at the end of the day, don't take it personal, because this is not personal. We're talking about a job, we're talking about a role, we're talking about, you know, things that, IT is, there's nowhere like, this is it and this is the only way to do things. Sometimes you find multiple ways to do the same thing. It just depends on the trade offs, it just depends on different things. But, you know, never take it personal, because it's like nobody takes it personal. Nobody does the things they do because they don't like you or something like that. It's just about, this is the job, this is how it's supposed to go. So, you know, I feel like one of the things is this: take it professionally. This is your role. And I feel like I'm gonna give one more tip, and I think with this I'm gonna end this. But it's all about learning and all about progressing and all about trying new stuff. So every day, even if you got into the role that you want, never stop learning, never stop working for yourself, never stop, like you got a weekend, try to like get into that stuff that you saw somewhere and you find it interesting. Try to build something, because this is how you put your this is how you put your knowledge to test, and this is how you apply the things that you learned. Because sometimes you'll get to a company and you might deal with stuff that they're not really, like, I learned about direct connect, and I learned about, like different like transit gateways and stuff, yet I have not dealt a lot with it from different companies. Because rarely you find a company that has direct connect or something, unless you work for like big corporations and stuff. But I worked quite a lot with startups. So but then again, as I said, that doesn't mean that I shouldn't go study there, because I feel like if I know a bit more, it will just give me a bit more idea of what's going on. And like an information once learned, when you get the second time to it, it's much easier to grasp again than an information never learned, right? So I feel like you should have like a wide horizon of thing, but also just focus down to one type of expertise, right? So I think there's this concept called a T-shaped engineer, where your general knowledge is quite wide, but your expertise into one thing, right? Like one domain and stuff. And I feel like that's where you should aim, right? To be that T-shaped engineer. So, to summarize, I really want to summarize this. I feel like, work hard, network, try to put yourself into position to succeed. Be honest with yourself and tell yourself, like, am I able to do this? Am I capable? If the answer is no, go out there and think what's missing, what am I gonna need to study, or what are the skills that I need to add in order to put myself to there. So go and do that. Kind of like keep interviewing, because it's good to practice that kind of stuff. It's good to like keep trying and stuff. So, and always look to progress. Like, nobody wants to just sit at the same place for like 5-10 years and so on. Like, you always have to learn new thing, do new stuff, because it's exciting. This is how you find, like, for example, with this new chat GPT that came out and stuff, it's very exciting to deal with. It's very exciting to see its capabilities. Sometimes when I see, I don't know, cross-site scripting attack, right? And I'm like, wow, this is interesting. How does this work? Like, let me get more knowledge into it. And even though I don't do security like a lot, as I said, like, I have a passion of it. I don't call myself a security engineer, but I really love to know, because I feel like, the more I know, the more I can make my clients safer and stuff. So I feel like, this is the mindset that you have to have. This is like a, not just technical skills, but also the mindset, and also focus on to progress and become a better person and stuff. So this is it. This is all I wanted to share. There's always a lot to talk around the subject, a lot to say, but maybe in future I'll do a more organized type of video. Maybe I'll do a more organized with some slides and stuff. But for now, I just want it to be more like a conversation that I have with you guys. I just want it to be something that it's more personal, something it's, and feel free to approach me with any type of questions, or if you want me to, like have like a 30 minutes, type of conversation of where you should head or what you should do. And like, I'm open to this, so feel free to hit me up if you want my advice, if you want like my thoughts. But until then, just have a nice day, stay safe, have a new year, have a new amazing year, because we're in 2023, and for me, one of the goals was to try to get to this and try to help people and try to share my ideas, hence the reason I'm doing this. So yeah, good luck with that, and let's make 2023 amazing. Let's make it, like, more efficient. Let's make it better by learning, working hard, advancing our careers, and bring others to this, bring others to IT, because we need them. But we need to take the responsibility of teaching them, of giving them patience, of showing them around, try to help them, to make it easy for them and stuff. Because just because you have it hard, that doesn't mean that others have to have it hard, right? Just do your best and try to help others, and I feel like that will come back to you. I feel it's just about trying to be a human first and then an engineer, and try to help others. So yeah, okay, have a nice day, take care, and thanks for watching. I feel like it was quite a long talk, so thanks for being here, thanks for watching. And if you really want to help me out, like and subscribe, comment. This will bring me visibility. This will bring this video to more people that they're interested in starting their industry, interested into how this, how to do this and stuff. And I feel like it will show that if I, with no IT background, taxi driver, managed to get there. I got my first job within 6 months, and then I got into a cloud role within a year. I feel like everybody could do it. And if they need a little push, a little bit of guidance, share this with them, show them this, and many others. There are many other content creators out there, or many other people that talk about this. So, let's be all united, and let's do our best to kind of make it as easy as possible for people to do that. And then our future will be easier too. So yeah, thank you very much. Bye bye.